Okay, hi, here's part B, week. Let me get the rose quartz out just to keep my sanity together here. Week 21, part of the Twin Peaks, Twin Weeks, Gemini Twin energy. I'm here not as late as I could be. I was going to be here yesterday. What's today? Saturday. So I was going to be here Thursday, Friday, right? But even then the power outage happened with the first part, delaying the first part even beyond what it was already delayed. But what we're at right now in Gemini, second week, 21, because it started in 20, but we had that, it started with the Ace of Swords. I'm so right about making it cardinal air. The Ace of Swords, the finger of God, the tornado, and now the question would be which god brings a tornado, right? And so I've got answers. This week I have answers, or this part of the week I have answers. But yes, definitely started with Libra, ends with the tornado anniversary, the Edmonton 1987, July 31st. That affects me personally in a way. One of my clients lost a great niece in the Evergreen, and we've been on a green theme with the Green Man. So just so many messages coming through right now, and Libra being a cleanup crew, and now Gemini. But there is no accident about starting Gemini with a storm, coming into Gemini through the storm, because we're going to go into Vedic Nakshatras, the Jyotish astrology, and exactly where the twins are in the Nakshatra. I've got the name for it and everything. Punarvasu. It's a fixed star system, right? In the Nakshatras are a fixed star system, astrology, and they use the Castor and Pollux. They have their own names for them, yes, but they Vedic astrologers, India, huge, the oldest, possibly Aboriginal might be as old, towards, Australia, New Zealand, but with India, we're going at least 20,000 years back, right? So way ahead, way ahead of Sumer, Babylonia. But anyway, this nakshatra, Gemini, it's divided into 3. Now, the nakshatra has 4 sections, and it includes the first section of Cancer. But the one that just comes right before the twin stars part is it heralds the storm. It brings the storm. So, and then the twins bring the calm after the storm, very much like the star after the tower. So let's get Gemini over to the side there. I hit my Saturn energy and it felt great. I was going through so much fear. I had a tornado inside me for all of the first week of Gemini, which I felt was entirely to do with understanding the energy. And then all of a sudden I hit my Saturn placement in my birth chart, and I checked it against what date it should possibly line up with and what events happened that day. And absolutely, my career house starts, like with whole house system, I've just started my career house basically on the day that the Lionsgate portal is reputed to close, right? On the 12th. Roughly, as approximately. So we've had everything off that needs to be corrected. And so what I did, starting with sun placements, I'm going to be a little chaotic for a second here, but let me hold it up. I think the pencil marks are maybe not easy enough to see here. So let's just, what I've started to do, right? I've started to put pencil marks in where the sun actually hit. See how small Cancer is, right? And then Gemini shifts so that it's almost directly overlapping. Look how big Taurus is. Taurus extends either side. So I don't have the start date, right, in April. We started in May, so I have 4 start dates so far. So we're going to go all the way around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create my own Ayanamsa. That's what I'm going to do. That's what Pink Spider is going to do. Yeah, because why not? Why expect it to be anything else if the sun isn't where we want it to be? It is where it is. So let me check the focus. I'm so good at forgetting that. And this is the page from next week. I've printed it up already, so I thought, because I actually started on like the smaller wheel on the page that I've already just done last week, but I thought, okay, no, I'll transfer the markings to this one because then you can actually see them. So never mind that page otherwise. There's enough to cover this week in this part B. Anything else that I want to mention? We had Friday the 13th, and that was just a steady work day for me. How was it for you? Yeah, everything's already gone direct. Now we have, yeah, the sun already, I would say the sun entered Leo exactly basically the same time as the Lionsgate portal closed. And my 10th house, yeah, because that's where I put my 10th house starting. That's in the whole house system. So I want to go back and figure out what the heck I was going through in my 9th house in the whole house system, because I kind of lost track of that in the whole, well, actually, no. That would explain, I've got to differentiate between 9th house and all the work we did in Libra about the path to God and Amenta and figuring out, getting so many puzzle pieces together. So I would say 7th house and 9th house work together so beautifully there. Okay, so to differentiate, yes. Okay, well, pardon the cat. She's getting messages from the mothership. What she really wants to do is go for a walk in the hallway. Okay, let's keep this close. I don't think I need to go into my aspects because that's not where we're at right now. Where we're at is the constellation of Gemini. Now, another reason that we're dealing with storm and tornado motifs, Castor and Pollux. Now, Pollux is a single, so far as we know, it's a single star. They. Giant, right? Castor, on the other hand, is something of a miracle. It is a set of 3 binary star systems. So it's 6 stars. And what they do is they're paired, and the pairs, right, orbit together, evolve. Like it's like 3 DNA strands of double DNA, right? Well, DNA would be doubled. And then what they do is they're always spiraling around a singular vortex. So what I did, got a few, I'll see if I can get close enough here. And so then we have issues of situations in space that are so similar to tornadoes and cyclones, yes? So I've got, who do I have here? Anton, don't I? Yes. Anton Petrov. And a couple other channels. I think Cosmo with a K. Yes, Cosmo with a K for this one. But Anton points out, and his video is first sextuple star system with all stars eclipsing each other. Now, I don't think that's, I think that's a different one, and he just references Geminis in that. I don't think that's the same one. I went through the whole video. But what he points out, sorry, it's hard, I can't get it close enough here. But the universe sort of cheats, he says. Okay, it's so difficult to get stable enough parts of the universe to be able to have sextuple systems, right? And there are the stars themselves, all in Castor, right? And let's see if I can give you an idea of what they're doing. No, there was some other information that is coming up next. See there, they kind of are in a representation, right? 2, 2, and then these two separate a bit, right? For that, just to show the orbiting, right? Then we get into situations that involve the creation of plasma. So we want to learn all about plasma and ions, and so much plasma research is attached to ionizing the sky. If you want to go back down that path, yes. HARP didn't actually so much, the facility didn't close, it just went pay to play. That's all that happened with HARP up in Alaska. And there was another similar center up there already for 30 years, which you might already know. So this is the thing with Castor. This is what's going on in Gemini. They have found a septuple, a 7 system that's in Scorpii. It's a Scorpii star system, and another one in, I've got it somewhere, I've got it written. But so that's what I found out about there. Then I'm going to just give your eyes a break for a second and go back to looking at the notes. Everybody else in the constellation is, you know, I've got them all, I've got a lot of them documented, but where did we cut off? So yeah, if they were both taught by Chiron, either in the Greek tradition or the Roman tradition, these twins. And so given what Chiron did to his daughter and how I feel about that, and that he's not my favorite, but yeah, it's the fact that Castor's actually a Chiron cycle away, so to speak, in terms of numeric, right? 51 light years away. Oh, candle's out, so let's just switch up. You know, what are the odds of that, right? Of course it's not about odds, of course it's what it is. So what I wanted to do, let me just double check that I wanted to check out how universal, now why particularly Gemini? I've been doing it for the others as well. But in terms of identity and what Gemini means in the root word, and what other cultures experience of this constellation, or primarily even these two stars, right? And I got into the Chinese astrology because, now how did I find out that Castor, many websites that are Western insist that Castor represents to the Chinese the yin energy. And then they would go on to say that obviously Pollux equals the yang energy. But I actually can't find anything yet, apart from what Western astrologers say, to confirm that. And I can only find, it was in a Quora response, but again, even this person was only doing the etymology, like the word origins and these astrological origins in Chinese astrology. They said they can only find that Castor equals the yin energy. They can't find that Pollux equals the yang energy. But I thought that was really interesting, because otherwise we have lunar energy representing the yin and the yang. But then yin and yang isn't even the correct term, because then I go and I'm looking into that and I find out that I need to be more specific. And Tajitu, right? And that it's not as simple as, like, there's no correlation. What it does help me with is there's no correlation between bad and good and dark and light. Thank you so much for that. But yes, this hopeful person over in YouTube comments, the yin yang symbol is actually called Tajitu. So of course I looked up that, and of course I've pared it down. I didn't put in all the results that I got for that. So to find out what it means then for yin energy to be attached to Castor in Gemini and the storm. Do you see storm cells there? Oh, I think so. Yes, I think so. So that's what I have so far about the constellation per se. But there is overlapping when we get into the sign. And I didn't even get to, I couldn't even fit everything I wanted to fit onto here. Okay, this page. Couldn't even, and I did all my little photo collages and everything just to cram everything up. But what I did was I went into, and I did a sort of a spiral here of information so that I could remember what it actually is. I went into the roots of the word Gemini, where it comes from, and I'm going to need to get closer to it to be able to read it. But of course it's got, now there's the warning. It's like, now what I do know, I should say this, that you're not going to find from a Google search. If you go to Sangam Talks on YouTube, S-A-N-G-A-M Talks on YouTube, and start going through some of their content, they talk about how whitewashed their history has been, all connected to, you know, stealing trade from them for like however many years, right? And so things go way, way, way back. In terms of saying something's Indo-European or something's just Sanskrit, that's not simple enough, right? So there will be little caveats, little disclaimers, right, you know, that you'll come across. And of course Wikipedia is, you know, it is what it is. It's a swampland, I realize. But, and I don't just go to Wikipedia. Sometimes I'll start there because it'll have references, but you know, I start with a regular search, and if I can go straight to some other source, I go straight to some other source, which I have done. But I'll sit down with this and I'll read it out. But we go through where Geminus comes from, like through the Latin, and it goes back to Sanskrit, of course. It goes back to, there is almost half the world represented here in terms of root words. And it's all going to twin and bridal. But it does lead back to, I'm going to say it right, Yama. Yama, God Yama. Oh, I got to hold it up where you can see it, okay? And Yemuna. Yes. Yemuna. Twin god and goddess. They are the twin brother and sister of the Ashvins, who are the original Gemini twins. Okay, so their brother and sister, their brother Yama, the Gemini twins, their brother Yama is actually the root word for twin. But because he's also a twin, and Yamuna ends up being basically an incarnation of Kali. Several, you know, there's Krishna involved. There's, of course, then there's Vishnu, because Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. But the Ashvins. So you want to get into the Ashvins, and then they carry over, I want to say, Lithuania. But I'll get into it. But I went over to the Australian. There are two main systems I understand of astrology over in Australia, and it's not correct to say Australian Aboriginals, and it's not correct to say Aboriginals of Australia, because of course they would not identify with the name Australia at all. So get correct about their names, their specific names, but their astrologies that have used dark spaces, right, in between the stars. And so they have twins over there that correlate with Castor and Pollux. They have their own names. Yurree Wanjel is Pollux and Yurree is Castor. The Boorong Aboriginal people of northwestern Victoria. Okay, so I got into all of that. I got into other cultures. Then I went into the nakshatra more though. I can get it. Went back to KRS channel because he deals with the nakshatras, and I'm still actually really appreciating his work. Not that matters, but so I get more of the information about, and he talks about how, and another, I want to say another website, I don't think I have it listed, I cropped it out, but talking about that section of the nakshatra that is specifically where the twin stars are located, right? It's all chopped up. And it's what happens after the storm. So these both confirm, other sources did as well, of course, what comes after the storm. So if you're dealing with this is all, the way it all works together is just beautiful. It really was a rough week. I got very sick from it in ways that I don't care to describe. It was a very long 14 hour period of absolute agony. And no, it's not anything that, it was a whole other different kind of agony, if you know what I mean. Well, why would you know what I mean? But I just mean it's not, the thing that's going around the world, right? Okay, that's what I mean. But yes, the storm, the fact that it's ruled by Jupiter, Castor and Pollux, the Ashvins, they are healers. They healed Kali, they healed Yamuna, they brought her back, they have regenerative powers. And so then, of course, the idea of them protecting sailors during storms, yes? But teaching as well, the ability to teach, because they've been through the storm, you've been through the storm, then you know how to help other people get through storms. And this is the energy. So there's a tremendous amount of history, just like I expected. Japan, of course, because it transferred from, now Hindu I know is not the right word. Hindu is an English word for, multiple religious, it's where they go and it's genocidal is what it is. But in Indian religions, right, it gets the Ashvins and Yama and Yemuna, they get transferred into Buddhism. And then that travels, of course, as well. And so multiple countries, like even Yama is even represented in Japan. So you have a tremendous number of people on Earth who understand Gemini outside of the Greco-Roman development, right? And we know that the Greeks and Romans get their stuff from everybody else. We know either from Africa or India, I would say. That's where the stuff comes from. And so, and in the case of Africa, it's more stories of ancestors rather than stories of ancestors that can get converted into stories of gods and goddesses. Because the Orisha are not gods and goddesses. They are gods, a singular god's set of helpers. But if we get into the deep, deep, deep relationship, what I left out of here was in the American. Yeah, almost done. I'm getting told off by the cat. But yeah, no, I couldn't remember if the hero twins of, I want to say Aztec for sure, Maya, Navajo. It's only just, even when I was preparing this book, I went through a huge, I don't think no, I haven't printed it up yet, have I? Wait a minute. Of course I did. Oh, but I don't print, did I not put a link in the pages for this section for Gemini to the hero twins? Yes, I did. Absolutely I did. Okay. Whew. I've just forgotten that I did that. What other constellation would I do it for? Okay, so there were things that I couldn't. I went back to Roshan Sylvia. She does an excellent video about Gemini. But of course, there's a Liverpudlian Scouse reader, Elisa Jane. Amazing Gemini. Like perfect example of Gemini as far as I'm concerned. But and then I went in, I created a few graphics and I couldn't fit them in because there's just too much information. So I'm going to do a separate Gemini tribute page, and I'll print that up and then go through what else I found. But what's really, it's just really fascinating. I'll just take a moment here to double check if there's anything. Sense of renewing creative pursuits and beginning with a fresh new idea. The ruling deity is Aditi, the goddess of abundance and the mother of all godly beings. Then I found that the Romans called the stars the twin brethren and associated them with the principle of brotherhood. So we got to figure out how pivotal to masonry, right? Gemini are. Find all those codes. Which was considered, the brotherhood was considered to lie at the foundation of their empire. The oldest ideas we can identify for Gemini seem to come out of India, where the two stars were called the Ashvins. And maybe Ashwins, I gotta double check the pronunciation. The twin horsemen of the dawn. They're only allowing that idea goes back about 6,000 years, and I would say let's put it back even further than that. The Etruscans, even, that I've been learning about. The Etruscans, who were actually black people. They were actually African. Well, it's not fair to say they're Africans. If they're Etruscans, they're Etruscans, yes? Yes. So this is less, the constellation represents coming out of the storm and returning to the source. Loving other people. It's about teaching your son, a mother teaching her son. So that hits home for me as I'm finishing up releasing Beginning of Drawing again that I created to teach my son. Like coming back finally, feeling like home. So the return home. So absolutely the storm. So it's almost like this is a vortex, right? This is the damage path. And this is, apart from it being the Roman numeral for 2, but there's so much that they compound into a symbol. Oh, to know the cults. But yes, that's where we're at for Gemini, the constellation and the sign. And just thinking if there's anything else in terms of personality traits. I'm not sorry. I chose to go with this information on the page over the personality traits because things need to be reset according to this information anyway. So, but Roshan Sylvia did some excellent work on the personality qualities, things that I hadn't thought of before. Gemini and writing. She points out that Geminis don't like to write because they know, they might want to, but they don't, because they know their ideas are going to change so many times and they're not going to feel the same way tomorrow that they felt today. And so that does a lot to explain to me. I mean, I know I look like I do a lot of writing, but I actually really struggle with certain kinds of writing. And that's why, and I thought that was I thought that was my main problem. And it is a main problem. But it's because of my astrology. It's because of my where my third house is. Now my Mercury opposes my Pluto. So I've been looking into that as well. But no, back to what Roshan Sylvia was saying. I'm assuming, you know, her name's reversed like they always are. So Sylvia. Psychedelic lights. Gemini are like psychedelic lights, like strobe lights. Yes. And so what I'll do is, yeah, I'll print those up. She reminded me, but she got me on the path of, there's a character in The Great Gatsby, Jordan Baker. And she says, I like large parties. They're so intimate. You know, in small parties, you know, you just can't go anywhere, do anything, say anything. I'm screwing it up. But, and then remind me of Holly Golightly. In the, you know, regrettably needing to be edited, modified Breakfast at Tiffany's because of Blake Edwards' choice to put Mickey Rooney in as a Japanese character, which I know Bruce Lee stormed out of the movie theater about. Fair enough. But yes, Audrey's Holly Golightly, well, Truman Capote's Holly Golightly, which I was rereading last night. And the whole idea of being a phony, but a real phony. So those were other things I was gonna that I'd created graphics for and was gonna print here. But yeah, no. So there are several things that are remarkable to know about Gemini that I didn't know previous, and I want to make note of them. So one way or another, I'll get it done. But I think, yeah, a tribute page for the photo diary. That's probably what I'll do, or maybe a couple of pages, like a flip side page in between these two, something like that. But yeah, okay. And so that really, I wanted to be thorough. I know things are crazy for me right now, and I'm assuming they're probably crazy for you too. Like, so much information's come through that I'm just going to allow to take time with. Like finishing up Libra's photo diary and sort of basically, you know, bridging them together with this month. But yeah, so the next week, and it's going fast. Like, I find just true to air energy, these houses are going fast, just going fast. And like that vortex of summer. So birth chart, the third house in your own birth chart, getting all that done. That's what's coming up. And then the guides, the issues, the concerns of this house. So that'll be just kind of breathtaking. And again, I think, yeah, the whole Twin Peaks thing, there's something about it that I'm keeping tabs on, because it's no accident that I've ended up watching that. Oh, and a shout out to Scorched Earth, my cat. Scorched Earth, who's reading for Scorpio last week. She's wearing a Twin Peaks hoodie, so when the thumbnail is message enough. Okay, so that's it for week 21, part B, weeks 20, 21, part B. And yeah, I'm just hang in there, and I'll be as on time as possible next week. All right, much love.